which is called the misery chain, is just about being aware that slavery's, the way we think of it classically, doesn't exist. It does exist, that human trafficking still exists, and it happens all over the world, and it can happen in front of your eyes, so be aware. If you see anything like it, do the right thing.
Silicon Valley is confronting a brand new scandal. Workers at Amazon, Microsoft, and other major technology companies are facing allegations of paying for sex on company grounds. RT's David Miller reports.
Tech giants are facing allegations of sex trafficking amongst their employees, and now Silicon Valley is facing further scrutiny concerning women in the workplace. According to a report from Newsweek, in which a publication obtained emails revealing, quote, a horny nest of hobbyists at tech giants Microsoft, Amazon, and other firms in Seattle's high-tech alley. Law enforcement officials with the King County Prosecutor's Office in Seattle have been collecting information from brothel companies, and Newsweek obtained the emails via public records requests that included high-level Amazon and Microsoft directors. The Department of Justice has found that Seattle has the fastest growing sex industry in the United States. And one sting operation arrested 17 men and 1 woman, but only a director at Amazon and another at Microsoft opted for trial. And as goes with the tech world, those who have engaged in sex trafficking are being labeled as hobbyists and went as far as to set up an online review board of the sex workers. Studies conducted by Polaris, an anti-human trafficking organization, found that more than 700 Asian brothels are based in Silicon Valley, which is 20% of brothels believed to be operating in California. And another study finds that 63% of prostitution occurs on company properties. The tech sector is now being accused of enabling a culture that has readily embraced trafficking. And we did reach out to Amazon and Microsoft for comment, but both refused comment until after the holidays. Reporting from Washington, D.C., David Miller, RT America.
She was just 17 when she got her high school diploma, told her parents she was going to stay with friends for a few days, then didn't return.
It reached about the 5th day, and I said, baby, when are you coming back?
It wasn't until the next day, Father's Day, when she finally texted back.
And her words were, don't worry about me, I'm grown up now. I actually had texted her and I said, baby, it's Father's Day. I want you to be with me. And she said, I'm very busy and I'm grown. She kept using that word, I'm grown, which I'd never heard come from her mouth before.
As it turns out, it wasn't really coming out of her mouth then either.
What I didn't know at the time was that he was controlling all communication at this point.
That he was Duwan Harris, a man twice her age who had been grooming Brad's daughter online for months. He even paid for her to come to Rhode Island to be with him, or so she thought.
My daughter was actually being pimped out. He took her to the mall, he got her some clothes, and then at some point he said, well, we're out of money and I need you to do something for me. And at that point he had this power over her and basically coached her how to talk to these Johns.
But all Brad knew at the time was that he needed her back. Then an opening.
She texts me. She says, hey, I need some money. My daughter has a checking account that's tied to my account. So when I want to put money in there, I can see where it's going. So what I did was I deposited money into her account, and then I sat and waited and waited for something to happen.
And just 5 minutes later, something did.
They took money out, Broad Street, Providence, Rhode Island. I'm thinking, okay, I know exactly where she is.
But what to do with that information?
And so I kind of put myself in a position, not that I'm Liam Neeson or anything, but like in the movie Taken, where he realizes that this is happening, and at that moment...
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
He decides that he's going to do whatever he has to do to get his daughter back. I put myself in that mind frame of whatever I have to do, I'm going to do it. I have to go up there. I have to go up there and get her.
Just hours after that bank transaction, Brad is on a red-eye to the East Coast. And not long after that,
I go to the exact spot where she had just been 24 hours before. And it's so surreal when you know your kid.
An urgent message from the law.
The text says, we got her. It was a moment I'll never forget. I instantly dropped what I was doing, ran outside with my phone, and called her mom. And I said, we got her.
Cops were able to trace DeJuan to his apartment, where Brad's daughter was also holed up. And after DeJuan was arrested, Brad learned just how dangerous the situation had been.
He had pictures of my house on his cell phone. He had pictures of my ex-wife's house on his cell phone. He knew where I worked. He knew people in my life. I felt very violated, and I have a son as well who's underage. So I was very, very concerned.
As for Brad's daughter, though she was finally physically removed from her trafficker, she was still far from free.
He had brainwashed her to the point where she had disconnected from her reality and started only thinking of what he wanted.
After she turned 18, she even moved back to Rhode Island to be closer to her incarcerated pimp. And when it came time to try DeJuan Harris for sex trafficking, an unbelievable turn. Brad's daughter takes the stand for the defense.
She got in front of the judge and said, everything I told the cops is a lie. And he didn't do anything. He didn't pimp me. I did this all on my own.
But was that really Brad's daughter speaking, or was someone else reaching out from behind bars?
It's been found out that he had written hundreds of letters to her, and basically saying, I'm your fiance, you can't testify against me. It was considered witness tampering and intimidation.
In exchange for a guilty plea, prosecutors dropped that and other charges. But for sex trafficking a 17-year-old girl, DeJuan Harris was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, no chance of parole. Not long after that conviction, Brad got a call from his daughter in Rhode Island.
She said, hey, do you have any money?
It was not unlike calls he'd received before, but this time a twist.
She said, could you buy a ticket? I said, what, are we talking about a plane ticket? A one-way plane ticket? And she said, yes. I said, okay. And she got on the plane, and she's been back here ever since.
Though she's been forever changed by being held as a sex slave, Brad says his daughter is doing well, trying hard to rebuild her life after falling victim to a crime he didn't even realize existed.
These are things that I only thought happened in movies. People are being traded for money. People are being trafficked. And it happens every day under our noses.
And to the man who thought he could take Brad's daughter,
wherever he is in a cold, dark place, I hope he understands that this is one father that was not going to give up on his kid.
We all need to fight as hard as Brad to save our children from this horrible crime. I promise you, we here at Crime Watch Daily will do our part. And to all you predators out there, remember, we are watching. And if you would like to see an original special investigation, Stolen for Sex, in its entirety, go to either our Facebook page or our YouTube channel.
Get a look at their product, sex slaves.
He was just walking down that alley with that guy. I'm not sure how safe this is.
The sex slaves are right here in brothels in your backyard. Girls as young as 12, plucked from their homes in Latin America and trafficked to cities all over the U.S.
Are the girls here pretty? Son bonitas? Aquí? Go. Come on? Yeah.
This is nothing more than modern-day slavery. Wars have been fought to end that in this country. This is not something that we can tolerate in America.
On this night, we're in Houston, Texas, filming as a multi-agency operation targets a sophisticated network of human traffickers and pimps doing business here in the suburbs. We got a first-hand look inside a brothel just minutes after it was shut down.
As you can see, you've got beds that are here where they're consummating the prostitution. It was just a makeshift type bed with a drape for a little privacy, but not much. This one is actually a room, so it's a little bit more privacy.
So yeah, so there's just basically a mattress, a small bed.
What we have in places like this, you have a ledger of the girls that work here. As you can see, the X's, these are the amount of tricks that they've done tonight, and they will pay him a fee and grab a napkin, condom, and this gel, and they'll go to the room. See right there is a wrap, a package of a condom.
And it's just dozens and dozens of men coming in and out of places like this. And women just
having sex 15 minutes, and let's move on to the next guy.
Authorities believe many of these women could be sex slaves, brought to the U.S. against their will. They are the merchandise, bought, sold, and traded by a vast international network of human traffickers and pimps.
Is this a profitable business?
Human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world because it's all about the money. Think about it. Drugs, you sell once. Women and children, you sell time and time.
She managed to escape.
He made me to work overtime, almost 24 hours. I saw around 60
men a week?
No, per day.
60 men a day?
Yes. So by the end of the day, I was bleeding.
How are you?
Do you think that more should be done around the United States to combat sex trafficking?
It's going to take a lot of effort on a lot of fronts to end this form of modern-day slavery. It's really a problem that calls for many, many types of solutions.
And to be enslaved and be working every day out in front of people because of the color of your skin, anything that you might say wouldn't be believed. And you could essentially be forced back into that indentured servitude. That was the first thing that struck me. The next thing was, and this is a conversation I've had with a lot of people, is that that's actually still happening now. So you can't really watch the film or read the book and say, wow, we were really like confused and fucked up 150 years ago. There are a lot of confused, fucked up people now that still support industries that enslave people like the sex trade, and drugs. So, I wrote this song. This song is called Misery Chain, and it's essentially about telling this story as often as you can so that it reminds you that this stuff still actually exists.